Well, what's the verdict?
Well, I think we can move ahead. It looks like the caller's in. They're just muted, and it's not on our end. Mute. We're unsure if he can hear us or not. We've attempted to give him a call. We can get through. So it is the applicant.
Can we do his piece with him on mute?
Yeah, I mean, we can still go through the motions. If he has something to say, he'll need to raise his hand at some point, identifying to us that he wants to speak, and he'll need to unmute on his end.
Okay.
So we can go ahead and get moving forward with the meeting.
Okay. Well, I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'd like everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to the latest electronic meeting of the Planning Commission. Everything is being recorded and is live streamed on YouTube right now. And there are, I guess we're going to be saved for posterity's sake. Kim, as usual, we're going to need to do roll call votes, and would ask when people do motions, state your name when you do a motion or a second, or any comments, please. There are people, anybody that's listening by telephone at the appropriate times for public comment or on our public hearing. If you want to make a comment, hit *9 on your phone, and then that'll alert Ray, and then he'll unmute your phone, and then you can say what you would like. Would like to mention that we do have a 3-minute time limit on comments. All right, we have an agenda. Is there any changes to the agenda, Ray or Tim?
None at this time.
Okay. So we have an agenda. Would entertain a motion for approval and a second.
Nair, so moved.
O'Neill, second.
Okay. Kim, if we could do a roll call vote, please.
All right. Commissioner Bean,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Neill,
Yes.
Commissioner Horton,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel,
Yes.
Commissioner Rogers,
Yes.
Commissioner Nair,
Yes.
Commissioner Silker,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell. Not present?
He said he's
He's
muted.
there, muted.
Present.
Okay. Is that a yes or just a present for the vote? Roll call vote. Yes. Okay.
8 yes, motion carries.
Okay. Minutes from last month's meeting. I'm sure everybody's had a chance to look at them. If there's any corrections or anything, if not, I would entertain a motion to approve and a second.
Silker, approved minutes as read.
Nair, second.
Okay. Time for a vote.
Commissioner Silker,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Neill,
Yes.
Commissioner Horton,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel,
Yes.
Commissioner Rogers,
Yes.
Commissioner Nair,
Yes.
Commissioner Bean,
Yes.
and Commissioner Campbell.
Yes.
8 yes, motion carries.
Okay. Minutes are out of the way. Liaison reports. ZBA. Phil?
The ZBA did not have a meeting, so there'll be nothing to report.
Parks and Rec. Tim?
Parks and Rec did have a meeting. I was unable to attend because on Wednesday nights I teach until 6:30. I have a new schedule for the fall semester, which also means that I will not be able to attend for the next 2 months. So I don't know if the board wishes to replace me or just to have that seat be vacant for the next 2 months. In the winter or beginning in December, I can go to the meetings at 6 again.
If there's anybody that wants to volunteer for a 2-month period, feel free. If not, we'll,
Kelly, I think it might be best just to leave him seated in it at this point.
right.
Just from a confusion standpoint on the Parks Board side. What I can do is I can get a hold of Sue Ann and have her provide for us a brief summary report of what's going on at the meetings over the next few months and explain the situation, which I'm sure Tim has already done
Right.
to the park.
I apologize for that. I somehow in my mind, I thought they started at 7 because this starts at 7. And so I never thought, well, if I teach to 6:30, it would have those implications, but it did. Sorry.
Board of Commissioners.
Well, I'd like to say the county's been quiet, but that's not true. First and foremost, I guess $21 million budget is proposed for 2021 budget fiscal calendar year. Pulling roughly around just slightly under 350,000 out of the fund balance, which is going to leave us an okay fund balance, and I'll leave it at that. We're not pulling anything out of the delinquent tax fund. As you know, the county treasurer is suing the county board of commissioners. That's all I'm going to comment on that statement. Also, too, with the jail, I'll give you an update as far as what I know today. We have a meeting tomorrow. I will be zooming in on a 9 a.m. meeting. Right now, the county, for the approximate price of $888,000, I can't even speak on a dollar amount, purchased a piece of property on the corner of Somerton and Remus Road. That is tentatively the new site of the new jail and or more county buildings. Had a presentation on the Finance and Administration Committee meeting where I saw the budget for the first time. Not the first time, that's a bad statement. I'm trying to not be negative. Saw the budget, the build for the jail is $30 million with a $40 million budget. Just to kind of keep everyone in the loop on that. Stay tuned. I'm not going to say anything more on that. Let's see what else is going on in the county. That's probably it. The bigger top ticket items. I don't want to keep anybody there, but that's the two. So there's been a jail site selected. The jail budget is $40 million, and the county budget is roughly $21 million for 2021.
Right. Thank you. So township concerns are up next. We're going to move those into the public comment section as we have done in the past. So at this point, if there's any, we're at a public comment section. If there's anybody that has comments for things that aren't on the budget, or excuse me, that aren't on the agenda, that aren't agenda items, this is the time to speak up. So if you're interested, hit *9 and Ray will let you speak, or likewise, any township people that are out there that have some township comments, this is the time also to speak up.
Kelly, while we're waiting to see if anybody raises their hand to speak, I did want to mention that Jackie Curtis from Denver Township did communicate with our office. She'll be watching tonight, and Denver Township is all good at this point.
Okay, thank you.
You're muted, Ray.
Mr. Chairman, it appears at this time no one has pressed *9 to raise their hand.
Moving on, we're going to close the public comment section and move to the public hearing. Would staff review Amendment
Yeah.
20-02, please.
Yes. In front of you, you have staff report and all the materials for the application for zoning amendment 20-02, which is a conditional map amendment. Property owner is Eli Hirschberger. We're down in Rollin Township, Section 28. Property location is 10297 South Wyman Road. The applicant is requesting to conditionally rezone a piece of property from agriculture buffer to general agricultural. Again, this is a conditional zoning request. The site area is approximately 20 acres, just north of the intersection of West Jerseyville Road and South Wyman Road, and is surrounded by mixed farmland and single-family dwellings. You do have some extra area of background that we've provided in your staff report. I'm not going to go over it in too much detail, but this is a property that which is just south of a piece of property we saw last year. There was a conditional rezoning by Eli's father, Andy Hirschberger, last year for a similar type activity. I just didn't want to confuse the two and people think the same one was coming back in front of us. This is a different piece of property just adjacent to that south. Under the application detail, the application was filed on August 17th of 2020 by Mr. Eli Hirschberger, conditionally rezoned the property for the purposes of a milling and processing of farm products or a sawmill. Mr. Hirschberger included several items to try to mitigate the concerns that were raised on his father's piece of property to the north in the 2019 public hearing. Things such as the sawmill byproducts, how they'll be disposed of, animal bedding will be sold or used on, sawdust will be utilized on site for animal bedding or sold for off-site purposes. No open burning will take place of the slab wood. The applicant has indicated that they have approximately 6 inbound, outbound total trucks per month. We did make several attempts to communicate with the Isabella County Road Commission, asking for their input with regard to the road infrastructure itself in handling this type of use, as we have been for these types of uses over the past several meetings. We did not hear back from the Road Commission. We did try to communicate with them in August on 2 different occasions at the end of August and as well earlier this week. We did take a look at our GIS and tried to take a look at how much impact other uses such as these that have gone on to try to get an idea on the traffic, because that was one of the concerns last year, as well it is one of the concerns I believe this year. Excuse me. There were several other, I think we've had 4 activities in that general vicinity, southwest area of the county over the past 5 or 6 years. One of them was been on a paved road. The others have been on gravel road bases, county gravel road bases. This one has approximately a 1/4 mile of gravel distance to be traveled off of a paved road to the facility. A couple of the others have had, one of the others was over 1 mile. I think all of the others had longer distances other than the one on the paved road. So without having any input from the Road Commission, we wanted to give you guys a little bit of basis and some general ideas of what we've had. We have not had over the years any complaints from the Road Commission and or from the public with regard to the infrastructure of the roads. That's been any complaints made to us about any of these others that have been proposed in the past. And we have, like I say, at least 4 of them operating currently. We did send you earlier this week, I believe it was 2 days ago, some information with regard to sort of a summary of all of the support and opposition letters and petitions that we've received. I believe in the email, summarize those for you quickly. We did receive a total of 41 signatures and letters that are in support of the proposed conditional rezoning request and 19 letters that are in opposition to the request. We did also receive correspondence from Dan Shaw, the Rollin Township Supervisor, who had indicated that he would support the majority of the opinion of the residents in the area. I believe that email was included for you. The letters in opposition included a letter from Kim Preston of 10080 South Wyman Road, which included her opposition letters from the August 2019 public hearing for the conditional rezoning on Eli's father's property to the north, Andy Hirschberger. Mrs. Preston's letter cited concerns of noise, burning of scrap, smoke, sawdust, waste on the impact to the roads. The remainder of the letters are general opposition to the rezoning, with 2 of the letters stating concerns of increased traffic and the burning of scrap and smoke issue. Additionally, 1 letter in opposition that was provided with the application did submit a retraction of that support, and that is included in the summary of numbers. Ray, if you really quickly would put up the map, support and opposition map that we did receive, or I mean that we sent out to the Planning Commission. We basically pulled together a map for you. It was included in the email. It was a support and opposition. We wanted to give you a general idea of those letters, where they came from the area. I know it's kind of small and hard to see, but those areas that are in green that you see are parcels where the owners sent in support letters and or signed petitions in support of. The peach kind of colored, orangish peach colored are the locations of those that are in opposition. The blue is the subject property, which is right there where Ray's got the cursor. Because there was, relatively quite a few of them right around the adjacent area, we wanted to run a couple of buffers in our GIS to see what type we had. So we ran this pink buffer, which is a half-mile buffer around the subject property. That came up with 9 individuals supporting the action tonight, and 9 who are opposed. So we've pretty much got an even ground there. And then we ran a yellow highlighted area, or a yellow hatched area, which was a 1 mile buffer. And in that area, we had 14 support and 14 opposition, which ironically, again, is equal. I do want to state that you're not seeing all of the 41. I'm sorry, you're not seeing all of the full support here. We did receive a petition from the applicant. 19 of those that were in support, we were unable to verify by address their location, so we didn't include them in the map, but they were still individuals who signed a petition in support of the application. I'm just not sure if they're residents there locally or if they were from some other area, or possibly outside of the county, being that this is down in the very south west area of the county. Back into the staff report, you see that the applicant has offered conditions, which we've included for you, as well as in their application. There's a letter of condition. This is very similar to the others that we've seen, where they're basically saying that they would like to be rezoned to Ag 2. They'll give most of the uses in the Ag 2, except for a couple in this case. They would still be able to do the milling and processing of farm products, confined feedlots, and farm dwellings. The conditional rezoning, as per the ordinance, falls in section 1509 of the ordinance. Section 1509 provides for information such as conditions that are imposed are voluntary and they're offered in writing to the commission. We cannot impose conditions back onto the applicant. They can come forward with conditions, but we can't impose them on them. Section 1508C is the amendment guidelines, which discusses what you're supposed to utilize for making your decision, which includes whether or not the proposed rezoning is consistent with the policies of the master plan, whether the proposed district and uses allow are compatible with the area, and whether, if rezoned, it is capable of accommodating the uses allowed. And then other factors that may be deemed necessary by the Planning Commission. In summary, in closing on staff's part, the request is in front of you. We did review the master plan, and it appears that it does comply or with the master plan, which calls for support of agricultural activity in a central part of the county and state economy, and calls for the entire area to remain agricultural in the Rollin Township. The proposed and potential uses appear to be compatible with those, surrounding, again, as the area outside of the village of Blanchard is relatively low density, agriculturally developed, as well as some other agricultural type dwelling uses, single family dwelling type uses. Staff has posted a sign on the property, prepared all the legal notices, and posted the request in the Morning Sun as required by ordinance and state law. And we have, I don't believe, any additional correspondence for you other than what we sent you the other day. I think we indicated in that email that if we received anything additional, we would report that to you tonight. We have not received any to this point. So that's all staff has at this time.
All right, is there any questions for staff? Okay, hearing none. Does Mr. Hirschberger have anything he would like to add? If we can get unmuted.
Yeah, let's give him a minute and see if we can't work through trying to get him unmuted here. Anything, Ray, you'll be able to do anything there? No. Mr. Hirschberger, if you can hear us, if you would raise your hand so that we could know that you're attempting to, that you can hear us and you're attempting to reach out to us. You can do that by dialing, I believe, *9 on your telephone keypad. Not seeing anything, Ray?
No, his hand is not raised.
Okay. Well, Mr. Chairman, we can move forward with this if you would like. I don't see any reason why we can't move forward with it necessarily. I'm unsure what we can do for Mr. Hirschberger. We did let him know. He did indicate to us that he would be calling in. We knew he was going to be calling, but just obviously he's either not able to unmute himself or not able to get through for some reason here.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the public comment section of the meeting. So anybody that would like to comment on this, please hit *9 on your phone and jump in.
I do have one hand raised.
All right.
Caller 835, you are unmuted. Go ahead with your public comment.
All right, welcome. If you would
yeah,
state your name first, please.
Tim Preston?
Kim Preston. Okay, thank you.
Okay, of course, you've read my information, and everybody in the neighborhood that agreed, all the close neighbors, that we are not interested in having a zone change to our area. I did have a question. You said the conditions the applicant said where he would not burn and the noise would be not noisy, and that you couldn't make him do that, but that was something he said he would do. Is that correct?
We couldn't, if I understood it correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, that we can't give stipulations, but he can offer stipulations.
Right.
That-
Well,
that is Ms. Preston, let me jump in really quick. That is correct. That is with regard to the conditional zoning amendment itself. If this were to move forward and move in from a conditional rezoning situation and be recommended and the change happen, the applicant would still need to come back in front of us for a site plan review. At time of site plan review, like we do on many of these and most of these ones, we can impose conditions on the application for site plan review, just not in the actual contract for the contract zoning. So he's indicated to us that he would not open burn. If he came back in front of us as a recommendation, I would be recommending to the planning commission that at site plan time that we include that as a condition. There'll be no open burning on. So the conditions get set at site plan time, not at the rezoning time necessarily.
okay, so that really has, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure can.
So that still does not affect our thoughts on wanting the zone change. But a concern I have with his word on that is that, as Ray knows, what is it, 3 or 4 times after were told they could not have sawmills, they continued to put sawmills up and operate, and are currently building the buildings which they themselves told me they were not allowed to build, and are currently building buildings to sell. So as far as believing their word that that's what would happen, I have a hard time believing that. So that is not anything I would think would hold water. Because we live right next to it, and we see all this stuff going on, and it's never stopped during this whole time, from when Andy applied a year ago to now. So that's a real big concern that I have, and I know none of the neighbors we talked to in the area want it, and from looking at your map, I see that a lot of that's probably I'm seeing is a lot of other the Amish people, and then the people down here that are helping sell these buildings. Irv also wants to say something.
Can you hear me okay?
Hey, Irv. Yeah, this
Yeah,
Irv.
Irving Preston, Bob Blanchard, 10080 South Lyman Road. You were speaking earlier about the road commission never got a hold of you. Something that happens to this road, and I'm sure the road commission is all aware of it, but they didn't contact you. In front of my driveway, it blows out. When I say it blows out, literally it can be 2 to 3 foot deep. Okay, not crossable even by cars. I usually fill it in to keep a safety factor done. Where Eli lives is a small hill that goes up and down. Well, it's an extremely clay-based road. When you start getting into wet weather like we are, you get the big trucks on there, you're going to have trenches 3 and 4 and 8, 10 inches deep. Trust me, I got a nice pickup. I don't like driving through the mud and clay base. There's no way to fix that unless the commission comes in here, road commission actually straightens this road out. I don't see them spending that kind of money on it. I understand how budgets work. And I really don't understand what they're going to do with all the sawdust. 6 loads a month. I mean, I cut and burn wood myself to produce my own heat. That's a lot of sawdust, my friend, just to do, like the cow storages and stuff like that. That's a huge amount of sawdust. I really don't like to see the zone get changed. Another thing, it can affect greatly our property. My wife are getting up there in years, and we would like to sell a small farm. It's a very nice functional farm. I don't want to see the sawmills and only have the only prospected buyer is being Amish. It kind of kills my market that I have on my 36 acres. I think these all need to be taken in consideration in the same way with the whole neighbors. I mean, it's not about pitting one person or one family against the other. Harshbergers are very good people. Okay, they're trying to make a living. But even as they build these deer huts and chicken coops, I mean, Ray's well aware. We spoke with Ray, and I mean, Ray should know, send him photographs. They're not going to be compliant to what they're going to offer you guys. That's the only reason. Kim and I are not these people that's going to come up and go against somebody. You pull us out of the foxhole. We didn't want to be out of the foxhole. So I hope you take this all into consideration, how you do the environment out of this whole neighborhood. If you look at them and you start looking at different people that are on these look at the neighborhood good, because one of the guy buying these and taking and making exchanges with these deer blinds is doing it because he's profiting himself and his family, which is non-Amish. So of course, you know, when you work with somebody, you're going to side with them. I think all these things that you wouldn't be aware of should be brought up to attention. I think changing the zone is very critical, not to do this in Blanchard. There's plenty of sawmills here. I mean, I got them just down the road from me. We've had this conversation in the past. I don't think these guys are going to be compliant to what we need or the neighborhood. They're about feeding themselves. And they've proven that to us as neighbors time and time again. I don't know how else to handle this and not allow this zoning to get passed. But thank you for your time and make your decision accordingly. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments, Ray?
I have no other hands raised.
Okay. We'll close the public comment section of the meeting, and I guess we're looking for a motion so I can get some discussion. So we're looking for a motion and a second.
Please keep in mind that this is a recommendation to the county board. So the action is a recommended.
Okay. Need a motion.
Nair, I move to recommend approval to the County Board of Commissions map amendment 2002 as submitted by Eli Hirschberger on conditional rezoning of the piece of property from agricultural 3 to agricultural 2.
Vogel, I'll second that.
All right. We have a motion and a second. We have any discussion about this?
My question would, sorry.
Okay. No, go ahead.
Okay. My question would be enforcement. If we go to the next phase, how successful are we going to be with that?
So, you know, we do over 100, we receive over 100 complaints a year in our office. Every one of them go through the exact same process. Some are remedied quicker than others, but they all go through the same process. At any one point, if there is a complaint and it's validated that there is a complaint and an issue, we follow through. If the complainant does not, we can rescind their application. The contracts that would move on for signing, if this is recommended to be approved and move forward to the board, would be you'd have the potential, or the county board would have the potential to cancel that contract if they didn't follow through with the things that they said they were going to do. So, you know, we've got a legal team behind us that helps us, you know, through complaint or violation type activities. And I don't want to say, you know, we've got 100% success rate, but I will say that other similar uses to these other activities with regard to conditional rezonings, we've not had any complaints on in the 5 or 6 years that they've been going on. So, you know, it's a process. I can't guarantee they're going to do what they say they're going to do. But there are remedies for them not doing what the permit says they can do. In some of the action that Mr. and Mrs. Preston were just speaking about, the continued kind of violation stuff, there is currently 0 violations on this property that Eli has. There is a violation currently opened in our office on the property of his father's to the north, which we're currently working with the property owner on, just like we work with property owners all over the county on violations and complaints. But there is currently none on this property.
Thank you.
Jim, Mr. Horton?
Quickly, I'm going to be couple issues, or a couple issue and a statement. I'm going to not be in support of this. And the reason I'm not going to be in support is back in 2019, the property to the north, we voted against it and expressed the concerns regarding the impact to the roads by increased truck traffic and concerns of the neighboring residents. This is the property to the north. I know it's not the same property, but it's adjacent to. So kind of like in a, there's a legal term called res judicata, which means it's already been decided. So that issue, that is one issue I have with that. I will state, and I've done this before, and as a county commissioner, is if this board does decide to go through with this, I will be supportive to this board in what decision this board makes, the planning commission, as the recommendation goes. Again, though, I'm just calling this board's attention to August 8th, 2009, in our notes. Actually, I made the motion, and Ms. Stoker seconded it, that we denied it based on the increased truck traffic. And I think our notes reflect here that the County Road Commission has not made a report to the Planning Commission board. Is that a correct statement?
That is correct. They have lacked in providing us with any details. We gave them a deadline of noon today, contacted them 3 times, and they just did not communicate with us.
So the property to the north, we denied it because of increased truck traffic with no response. And the concerns, as we stated earlier, was basically a 50-50. So again, I'm going to vote no, but I will fully support this board in regards to any decision that they make. So there you have it.
Any other comments?
I have a question.
Yes.
My question is regarding to the person that made the comment on the phone, and that they had already begun building some of these buildings on the property. And I was wondering if Ray had noticed that when he went out to do the site visit or post the sign.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to indicate, Nathan. I apologize, I wasn't clear enough. So there is an active complaint on the property to the north, Andy Hirschberger, his father.
Okay.
They're not
I was
building.
talking about this property that we're in discussion with tonight.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to clear it up. Is the caller is talking about the other property, not about this property. There's no buildings currently being built. What's happening on the other property currently, which is under active violation, is they're building these Amish type sheds. They're building chicken coops. They're building those type of things. And the complaint says that they're shipping those to a place down in Edmore and they're selling them commercially down there. The Prestons have provided us with some pictures, have provided us with video of the activity going on. Ray's been down there a couple times, did see the chicken coop on this other property, and it is currently open under an active complaint, but not on this property.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Yep.
Any other comments?
I have one. Phil Vogel. It's really not up to us to judge the roads, is it? I mean, that's the road commission. If the road needs to be repaired, should it not be under their jurisdiction to repair?
Yeah, again, to answer that question, Phil, what we've done recently is we've had some of these larger uses go out in our agricultural areas onto these gravel roads. And what we've wanted was input from the road commission on whether or not the infrastructure can handle these types of activities and uses. They've answered us in a couple of cases. They haven't answered us in others. We're unsure why they didn't in this case. I will say that it's not our judgment to make that determination, which is why I kind of was trying to point out that we have issued others like this in the southwest area of the county that are on gravel roads, and we haven't received any complaints. I would think that if the road commission had some serious issues and concerns over this, they've had it for several weeks, that they would have thrown something back to us. But that's only an assumption that I can make because they didn't communicate with us. We've had no other complaints for this type of activity, log trucks going up and down a road. And I'm not disqualifying what the Prestons say about the condition of the road because I'm not the expert on the roads and I'm not going to go out and do it. We've asked the experts, they haven't provided us anything. So I'm trying to pull together all the best information we have so that you guys have the ability to make a decision one way or the other.
Correct.
Jim, can I add something real quick? Yeah, just real quick.
Jim?
And maybe not to explain Phil's question or not, under section 15.08C, 2, C and D, under C, states whether if rezoned, the site is compatible, or excuse me, capable of accommodating the uses allowed, considering existing or planned infrastructure, including roads. And it goes talk, then it talks sanitary sewers, storm sewer, water, sidewalks, and road lining. So I think you can address roads underneath the statute, or as far as the guidelines go. And then under D, it says other factors deemed appropriate by the planning commission. That's kind of a catch-all type situation. So I think it's probably within the perusal of the planning commission. Again, though, I'm not going to try to hang too many hats on that one. But just bringing up, I think that there is some room for the planning commission to have some leeway in regards to it. I think that kind of piggybacks kind of what our last back in 2019 was. And I'll also state that in 2019, if I in triggering my recollection, even though it doesn't reflect in the minutes, I was kind of, there's also another legal term called unclean hands. And I believe the property to the north had some unclean hands involved in this, where the property to the south does not. So I think if that factors into the other board members' decision as far as anything, the property before had some citations that were already operating and everything. So this property apparently does not. So again, I'll just state that just as a general statement, no way, opinion one way or another on that. So.
Any other comments? I guess I'd like to bring up a couple things. On the road thing, not to beat a dead horse, but if a truck is legal and it's not overweight, not over length and width, I think the road commission saying, the planning commission saying, well, we don't think we should allow this because the roads can't handle it. I think we're stepping over some pretty high boundaries there. That, if the road commission had a sign out front that said 20,000 pound weight limit or 10,000 pound weight limit, that's one thing. But for us to arbitrarily say what can go over road and what cannot, I think we're asking for issues. I drove out there a couple times looking around, and the Ag 3 versus Ag 2. The Ag 3, you always think of it as a buffer zone, like around, say, Union Township, an agriculture buffer zone where you wanted to, kind of protect, you're heading into more of a residential area. So you want to have a little more control over what's going on versus an ag area. This isn't a buffer area that I can tell. We're quite a ways from Blanchard, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tim or Jerry, you've been on this a lot longer than I have. I think the Ag 3 designation has more to do with the soil type than any kind of a buffer zone. So us conditionally rezoning this to Ag 2, probably if the soils were a little bit different there, it would be Ag 2 already, and this would be an allowed issue. So, comparing to the other areas that have sawmills, this looks like it's just like those other areas that have sawmills, that there's no other consideration. I can't see any valid reason for not allowing the conditional rezoning.
Yeah, I mean, sort of to answer and kind of help you with that, that is correct. The Ag 3 is this buffer area, is kind of this agricultural transition zone between, density, or between residential density and higher impacted agricultural type activities. The closest residential district we have is, I'm guessing, but it's maybe 3.5 miles as the crow flies to this location. It is relatively a rural location in the township. So, soil types were used in 1989, and kind of the whole premise of our agricultural districts as a whole were sort of built around that soil type and that soil foundation back in 1989. Some of the work was done with the townships at that time as well, of what they wanted these areas to look like and be zoned. The soil types down there are not listed in our survey manuals. Our soil survey manuals as prime soils. So I think they just kind of got categorized as a big group into this Ag 3 area. So I think you're, pretty much right on with your statements, Kelly.
So potentially you could say this is maybe miszoned right off the bat, and we can discuss that if you want. But the other point I want to bring up, there's a lot put out here about the people that live around the area, but there's also the person that owns the ground maybe has a few rights too. They're trying to make a living, and it appears to be a legitimate living. And I think we kind of need to remember that also, that the guy that owns the land has some rights also, and provided they're meeting the requirements that we ask them. This is number one, the conditional rezoning is valid, and if they meet the requirements on down the road, that it would be a valid use for that area, in my opinion.
Yeah, again, I'd piggyback on that a little bit, Kelly, as well with, for the whole commission, I don't want to discredit, I don't want anybody to think I'm discrediting a supporter or somebody who's in opposition to any activity and any use. But you have to get some legitimate information. Not liking something or liking something just because they're your neighbor doesn't do any good. So, to make some decisions based on, somebody sending a petition letter in that says, hey, I'm in favor of this, really doesn't give you any information other than that person's in favor of this. When you look back at the ordinance to make some determinations on whether it's compatible or whether it has some consistencies, we don't know the conditions of that road. That's why we asked the professionals, and we didn't get the answer. So the next best information we had was to bring you back these others that we've approved over the past years and say, this is what's going on there. I think the applicant did pull together, and I think he did a good job with regard to trying to address the concerns that the Planning Commission had from the previous meeting that were raised by the neighbors, legitimate or not. If they don't want to see burning and they don't want to see smoke, he's saying they will not open burn there. We can condition that when we go to site plan. So I just want it to be known that I'm not on one side or the other of this issue. I just need that the Planning Commission understands that just because somebody speaks or just because somebody provides us with some written documentation, it isn't all governing, as that's the direction we have to go.
Tim, thank you for bringing that up, because I was thinking that one of the major concerns I had back in 19 was the environmental impact, the open burning, the smoke, the smell, the water discharge. And it does appear in his application that Mr. Hirschberger has addressed those items and tried to deal with the concerns about that.
Yep, I would agree.
Any other questions or comments? All right, hearing none, I guess it's time for a vote. Kim, roll call, please.
Commissioner Horton,
No.
Commissioner Vogel,
Yes.
Commissioner Rogers,
No.
Commissioner Nyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Bean,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Neill,
Yes.
Commissioner Silker,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell,
No.
5 yes, 3 no, motion carries.
Okay. Okay, moving on to other business. This is a non-public hearing, a site plan review for North Country Metals site plan review number 2014.
Yeah, give me 1 second to transition over here. I'm sorry, I apologize. I had it all set before the meeting and now I can't seem to track it down. Oh, here it is. With this, I want to start out by indicating, letting everybody know that the applicant intended to be here with this request. He did get called out of town on some family emergency and is unable to be with us here tonight. This is an application for a site plan review. Again, not a public hearing, just a site plan process. This is for North Country Metals, Victor Graber, Vernon Town, Section 1, location is 5139 East Pure Marquette Road. The applicant has submitted a site plan review application for a storage expansion of his steel metal sales shop. Back in 2017, we had approved Mr. Graber to operate his business, his metal sales business out of this location. We did point out to you in the background information that there were some conditions that were imposed. One of them was the planting of trees, as we do for buffers and for screening purposes in many cases, from a residence that was to the east of this. Mr. Graber did not install those trees. We noticed that when he applied and went through this process. We talked to him about that. His explanation at the time is that the house was removed, so he thought he didn't have to put the trees in. Unfortunately, the action that you took didn't specify that, and he didn't explain to us at the time. So the trees still needed to be there. In our discussion with him, he went ahead and bought trees. He's had them delivered to the site. They're just not buried in the ground in that location yet. So I did want you to know that there is a condition of the previous permit that he hasn't complied with, but he's in that process of complying at this point, which is why, as you'll see at the end of the staff report, we've conditioned, if you're going to make an approval here, we've conditioned this approval on him meeting all the conditions of the previous before moving forward, which I think is fair. This is an application in front of you for a 60 by 112 square foot, 60 by 112 foot addition to the existing facility. It's on the north side of the building. Staff we've indicated to you in the staff report that the parcel is split zoned between commercial and general agriculture. Between restrictive agriculture and general commercial. All of this activity is going on in the C1 or the general commercial, so there's no issues with regard to the split zoning. Upon our review, the applicant has included everything in the ordinance that he's required to. He's provided and met all of the information. We've provided you with a checklist showing you that. Indicated in the staff report, at that time, we had received no correspondence one way or the other. To date, we still have received no correspondence one way or the other. And again, this is a site plan review, not public hearing. If he meets the conditions, it's an approval, basically. If and upon that approval, we would ask that you condition this this approval, the expansion approval, upon the stipulation that we included in your staff report, which reads as follows. The applicant shall comply with all conditions of site plan number 1703, including the installation and maintenance of the required screening prior to construction. That is all we have for you.
Okay. Is there any questions for staff?
Ray, did you want to bring up the site plan really quick so we can just, everybody can see it really fast? So as you can see, he's just building off the backside of the 60 by 100 building, making an expansion of a 60 by 112. Over in this area where you see the wood fence is that area, over in that area where those trees were to be planted and will be planted as specified in the previous prior to construction if we move forward with this.
Okay. All right, well, if there are no other questions, I would entertain a motion and a second.
I would move it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Mr. Nyer, would you please go ahead?
Okay. All right. I move to approve the site plan review of 2014 as submitted by Victor Garber and shall be conditioned on the following. Applicant shall comply with the conditions of site plan review 1703, including installation and maintenance of the screening required prior to construction.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
O'Neill, second.
Okay, we have a pair of seconds. Hey, Kim, if we could do a vote, please.
Commissioner Horton,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogel,
Yes.
Commissioner Rogers,
Yes.
Commissioner Nyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Bean,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Neill,
Yes.
Commissioner Silker,
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell.
Yes.
8 yes, motion carries.
Okay. All right, that brings us to another public comment section for the meeting. So I don't, is there anybody, if there's anybody that wants to make any public comment, now's the time to raise your hand by pressing *9. I don't know if there's anybody out there. It doesn't look like it, but
Yeah, there is no public on in the meeting at this point in time.
okay. All right, we'll close the public comment section. Staff comments?
The only comment I would make at this time is clearly the applicant Eli Hirschberger probably could hear us through the process. He just couldn't get it unmuted because he did take off of the call as soon as we completed up, I noticed. So that is good that the applicant was actually hearing us. He was just not taking it off mute. Don't have anything else to add for tonight, though.
Ray, anything to add?
I have nothing to add.
All right. Okay, commissioner comments. Mr. Campbell, anything to add? Good to go?
Oh, good to go.
All right. Phil?
Nothing.
Nathan, you've been quiet tonight.
I have a question on the turbines. I noticed that there's 5 or 6 of them that appear to be 2 sections taller than all their surrounding ones. And I was wondering if that was something that was in the plans and I didn't see.
Yeah, there were several of the turbines. I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but several of them were shorter that came out of the airport, the reporting process or the permitting process for the airport, for the Mount Pleasant City Airport. They were impacted and needed to be kept at a lower level. All the other ones were at a higher. I think, do you remember the number, Ray?
I don't have the exact number off the top of my head, no.
Yeah, it was 17, 20 of them, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So there are different heights of turbines in this project.
Okay, I just noticed out by me, a majority of them are 4 sections tall. And then there's a few of them that are 6 sections tall.
There's none that are 6. If you've seen some that are 6 sections tall, I'd like to, if you could email that over to Ray or I, we'll take a look at it because we've been on these sites watching construction and I haven't seen any that have been six sections tall.
Maybe I miscounted, but I know they had 6 pieces sitting over on Rawson's property. Oh, to the west of me, just on the other side of Meridian Road on one piece. And they just put the Nestle up on the top of it today. And boy, that thing's tall.
Yeah, they're staging parts and components on properties in different locations like that.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's actually 6 in the construction side of it, but if you want to send us an email of where that is, I'm more than happy to take a look at it. I've been all over this.
Hey, Jerry?
I was just wondering if there's anything more we can do to get the road commission to cooperate with us a little bit more consistently. Seems to be on and off issue. Is there any course of action or should we have a possibility of a sit down with them there to try and draw up some guidelines where we can get a little bit quicker and more consistent compliance?
Yeah, I did talk with Tony Caselli, which is the road manager over there. Boy, when was that? Probably at time when we were looking at the campground up in Sherman Township. And it seemed like they were on board and they were going to do it. I just don't know if they're busy and they didn't do it this time. And we had some correspondence from one of their engineers out there about this, but it was we didn't really understand what they were trying to tell us. There was nothing with regard to like the infrastructure of the road, like does it support this type of use? We're sending them an application asking them that. There was more like, I think they indicated they had a permit for a road on another, or for a driveway on another one. And we're not asking for driveway permits. We're not, that's something that they do need, and they will go through that process. We're asking specific, this use and the infrastructure of that road is it capable of handling it? I can talk with Tony again and let him know that, we came up against this today and didn't have much input, and it's putting the planning commission in a difficult spot, and see what they say there. Other than that, other than me sitting down with their manager over there and talking, I don't know what else we can do at this point. But, they usually work with us when we talk to them. So maybe somebody was on vacation, maybe somebody was out on this one, but we did send a correspondence over on the August 20th, August 25th. And then I asked Ray earlier this week if he had heard anything yet, and he hadn't. So we sent it out again, specifically telling him what we're looking for and giving them, hey, we need it by noon on Thursday because we got a meeting that night. And we didn't get anything. We didn't get, sorry, we're out of the office. We didn't get, we're on vacation, nothing like that.
Well, thank you for your persistency on that.
Mr. Horton, anything to add or any comments?
Nope, I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, Tim?
The only comment I have is I'm gonna open a bag of chips and watch some football.
My gosh, I forgot. You are correct, Chris. Oh, yes.
Okay,
I'm waiting for that.
Ms. Silker, anything to add or any
No.
comments? Or-
No, not tonight. No, thank you.
Okay,
Not
thanks. And I-
tonight.
All right, thank you. I don't have anything either, so I would look for a motion to close the meeting in a second.
So moved.
Motion to close Horton.
Okay, I think that was a second. So
Yep, we'll take it.
roll call vote again.
Commissioner Vogel,
Yes.
Commissioner Rogers,
Yes.
Commissioner Nyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Bean,
Yes.
Commissioner Horton,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Neill,
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell,
Yes.
and Commissioner Silker.
Yes.
8 yes, motion passed.
All right, meeting is adjourned. See you in a month.
Thank you,
Bye,
everybody. See you
everyone.
next
Yeah.
month.
Have a good evening.
Everyone have
Nathan, if you'd go ahead and shoot me an email, that I'd be more than happy to take a look into it.
Will do. I'll go look at them tomorrow.
Okay, just send me like the property, the location, the mile, so I can get an idea, and then we'll look it up and we'll go out there.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, no problem. Guys, good night.
Yep, bye.
Good night.